This is round 2 of the Shepardstown Open. It's game in 30, delay 5, a very quick tournament, and I scraped off a win against a 1600, a very close game in the last round. Probably should have lost that, but now I'm playing a 250. It was accelerated pairings for round 1, so I'm actually playing someone lower rated than I did in the first round, which is kind of uncommon for a big mosh pit Swiss like this, but it is what it is. Before this game, I knew I was going to play knight f3. I really didn't want to play like an e4 game where if my opponent knew theory, they probably don't, but if they did, like they could get 10 moves deep or 12 moves deep without thinking on their own. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to play knight f3 and let's see where this goes. Before the game started, she said, I've been learning an opening, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not playing e4. I didn't say that out loud, but in my head, I was like, you're not going to be able to play the opening you've been studying. I played knight f3, and after the game, she told me she was studying the French, which makes sense. You play e6 on move 1, and I just, played g3 and played bishop g2, and I'm going to castle very quickly. And she played c5, so this is very principled. She can play knight f6, knight c6, and like bishop e7 or bishop d6, but it actually starts going awry kind of quickly. Well, I play c4, so staking a claim in the center, and then I did castle, and I play this move b3. I don't have to play like this. I was debating on if I should go for a different approach. Like I could play e3 if I wanted to, but I'm just always not a fan of the Swiss cheese setup. And then I play d3 is totally fine, probably. d4 is probably totally fine as well, claiming more space in the center. But I decided to go for the b3 approach. I've done this in some other games, and usually I go b3 if they block in their own bishop like that. So it definitely seems decent. If she ever plays d4, I could probably now I'll go e3, just trying to undermine this pawn chain. And if she ever goes like e5, then I can take and go rook e1 and just target this pawn even more. And like this pawn is actually pinned as well, so if I queen e7, I can just take. So it's not usually a good idea for black to take more center space when they play like this. Okay. She played b6 though, which is not bad. I mean, her position is really solid, and she wants to contest my bishop on the long diagonal. That actually makes a lot of sense. For a lot of newer players, this bishop on the long diagonal could be a real menace, as we see in the game. And so I just take on d5. Try to remember my thought process here. Yeah, if she takes back with the knight, I can take on g7 if I want to, making it harder for her to castle. I can also just play d4. And if she takes, I can take back with the knight or with the queen actually. And now, taking with the queen on g7 is nicer because then her rook doesn't have rook g8. Although in this case she could play queen f6, and I might have to retreat my queen. But either way, it's just a position. The pawn structure is symmetrical, which is the only downside of this. But I do have more development than her, which is good. I can also take with the knight, which was another idea. And now this knight is pinned to the bishop. And maybe I can play knight c3 next, although that would allow her to unpin. But still, this is probably totally just fine as well. So it should go back with the knight, and if she takes back with the bishop, which I thought she might do, and that's what she did in the game, I play knight c3 with tempo, and that's what she moves back. Then I can play, once again, d4, and I have more development and activity. I have all my minor pieces developed, and I'm castled, so white's slightly better here. But she actually just played bishop c7, which makes not as much sense because this light square bishop is very important and your rook is still in the corner, so my light square bishop is going to dominate. So she takes back with the queen, and I was like, oh, it's getting from bad to worse very quickly. She probably could have taken back with the pawn or the knight, and she's just worse. But she takes back with the queen, which is losing the spot. Knight e5. Nothing crazy here. Attacking the queen, attacking the rook, defended by my bishop, and yeah, I just take the rook. She castles. I play d4, just trying to get my pieces into the game, and I take on c5, and she just needs to take back, but she actually plays knight d5, and I take a queen, and she took back. I took her knight. She took back. I took her pawn. She played f6, but that's illegal. So she played g6, and then I took and double check and mate. So it was kind of how you would expect a game to go with the 1,600 point gap. She's very nice. She's very nice. She got into the game like 9 months ago because of her older sister, who is the tournament director. So very nice person. And she was very flattering. She was like, I've never been destroyed that thoroughly. which is a kind of a funny way to put it. I mean, when your opponent ends the game with a double check and mate on move 19, and you might have never seen that before. So, I mean, I've been destroyed this thoroughly many times. You know, I've lost every which way possible. So she was very nice about it, and she said, like, man, I hope I can get as good as you one day. I was like, oh, thanks. You know, that takes time. Anyways, so I enter round 3 with 2 out of 2, and I play my roommate.